get underway. It's a clammy day, kind of humid here in Missouri. And Deanna Jennings leading things off, back in the leadoff spot now for the last several games, after coming back from a broken arm last year.
We'd seen Jennings struggle with keeping her feet in the box as a slapper, and because of that, she's turned to more of a swing away type of hitter. And with the success she's had lately, they've moved her back to the top.
And the one thing that Jennings told us about is, I mean, now over 400, now that she has diversified her offensive game, it puts a lot more pressure on the defense. You don't know if she's going to go short game or she can hit away.
Well, and look at that defense. They are crimping her at the plate.
Gallagher throws her out. So, who is mostly a baseball player, is at first base. And here's Davidson, one of the best hitters in the country.
Davidson has been a pitcher coming into this senior season. She had thrown multiple innings at Duke, but this year taking pitching off of her plate has really allowed her to focus on her mechanics, and she has been so good with the long ball and average this year.
A very rather quiet individual. We've interviewed her. We asked Marissa Young, her head coach, about her yesterday, and she said, yeah, Claire's always just quiet, steady, goes about her business, and doesn't do a, let's just say she doesn't overthink things at the plate.
Definitely doesn't. And when the phrase walk, oh man, now I'm losing.
See ball, hit ball?
No, in terms of
nope.
Be quiet, carry a big stick.
Right, there you go.
To be able to, she swings. She's fourth in the country in slugging percentage, and she's been able to just tear the cover off the ball this year.
And facing a terrific pitcher in Lauren Krings this afternoon.
Well, she's got good velo and is very curve dominant. Also a great changeup that she will throw in any count. She has her most strikeouts on that changeup, and it tunnels well with her drop. 3-1
pitch here for Davidson. Wind blowing out towards right field as that goes foul. Davidson in the top 10 in the nation in RBIs and slugging percentage. There you see the flags blowing. 83 degrees. I would imagine the humidity is close to
83 for sure.
Like full count. Davidson just got a piece of it. We've got Tracy Laycott calling balls and strikes for us this afternoon.
Well, and we know the rise ball is one of those pitches that is difficult for Davidson to attack. She's got just about a 150 average on that rise ball. It's the changeup that she loves to hit hard with an average over 400.
Another full count pitch well off the plate. And Davidson draws the one-out walk. And the Duke fans that have made the trip, Duke getting the number 10 national seed, controversial. Top 3 RPI heading into the NCAA tournament, so they had to go on the road for the Super Regionals. And now Amina Vega, one of the best defensive second basemen in the country, has also delivered at the plate. First pitch swinging. Cahalan in foul territory for out number 2.
The third baseman, number 4, on the goal.
So the Duke Blue Devils have already set a record for the most wins ever. They have won 50 ball games. Marissa Young with this program since the very beginning. This is year 70. And they swept both the regular season and ACC tournament titles and still got a 10 seed. Now Anna Gold, who has the most home runs in the history of Duke softball, steps in.
And while she has had the most home runs of any other Duke player, she has struggled this year with the long ball, hitting less than half than she had a season ago, but she is always dominant at the plate. Her balls have just been going right at defenders.
Always a threat, certainly, as you saw Crenshaw pop up, keeping her eye on Davidson over there, who is not much of a base stealing threat at 5 for 8. Taken for a strike, pardon me.
In a 2-0 count, that is a pitch that I would expect Anna Gold to absolutely wail on, but she doesn't take the barrel off of her shoulder. Sits big, belt high. That is the pitch that Anna Gold typically takes deep. great pitch to come right back to that changeup. And you know Krings has an amazing changeup. And when it comes out of the hand, the spin of it fools you to think that it's going to be coming in with more velocity, falls off the table, way ahead of it, and evens up the count.
Gets gold. Krings rip. Takes the first pitch from right. Jenna Laird from New York State. Larissa Anderson, their head coach from there, 4 years at Hofstra, and had her eyes on Laird and Gallagher and some other players that had come west to play for Larissa.
I was actually talking with Jenna Laird's dad through social media this week, and he talked about how Jenna would have played for Coach Anderson had she been in Alaska. That's how much they care for their head coach.
Now the 1-1 pitch. I don't know if Alaska has a lot of college softball. It'd be a little chilly.
Yeah, but she grew
She'd
up
go.
in New York.
That's right.
So
it's just a little.
what's a little more snow, right?
Northern New York. Here's her scouting report.
That's right. Tough velocity and two pitches that play so well off of each other is that drop ball and her changeup. Her changeup's batting average, .050.
Count goes to 2-2 on this pitch.
When you talk about the way that Jayla Wright throws, she loves to paint corners. And last weekend at regionals, they had a situation where they didn't get a lot of calls on the corners. So she's used to this situation where she has to bring it back over the plate a little bit more.
Laird whiffs. Torres completes the strikeout for Jayla Wright. 184th strike.
But she is the glue that keeps this battery so strong because she has to take care of so many different pitchers in the circle.
And that with very, very different pitching styles. And here's Maddie Gallagher, another New York State kid. Oh, I'm sorry, this is Alex Honnold. Gallagher on deck is another New York kid. Honnold from West Des Moines, Iowa. Caitlin Clark's hometown.
To say you are a Caitlin Clark fan would be an understatement.
Well, I had to get that in. Honnold was huge in the regional, right, with a home run. 6 home runs on the season. Missouri does not hit a ton of them. But she hits a ton of doubles, was #1 with a Missouri singles season record, 21 doubles this year. 1-1 from right.
And the thing that we see about the power that Honnold holds is it's a lot of oppo power. She goes with the ball so very well. And when you think about the evolution of a hitter, the way that Alex Honnold has been able to just keep her mind and her body and mechanics in line to hit for average for better in the last 2 seasons.
Tough play for Gold. Charges, throws low, wild, and Honnold ends up at second.
Oh, Pam, that was an excuse me kind of swing. She was just trying to put the ball in play, and that is an uncharacteristic mistake by Gold at third. We usually see her doing so well defensively, but as she throws on the run, just can't get the ball out of her hand in the right way, and that ball allows Honnold to get to scoring position in the first inning.
10th error of the year for Gold, and now here is Maddie Gallagher. First couple of years played at South Carolina before transferring to Missouri.
And you know that Wright is going to roll a ton of ground balls. That drop ball that she continues to throw out of the circle is going to roll ground ball after ground ball. It is hard to elevate on. It's got heavy drop spin on it. And so defensively, this Duke squad needs to make sure that they are shored up.
Vega off her glove. Missouri strikes first.
I mean, talk about textbook play of just being able to push a run around on that situation. That is a fieldable ball by the first baseman, Tapia, but she does not go for it. And Amina Vega has so much ground to cover to try to come away with it. She was the defensive player of the year in the ACC, but with the 3-4 hole that big and Tapia not trying to get into that hole and cover it a little bit better, Mizzou gets on the board.
Yeah, surprised that Tapia backed away from it. She does know that Vega has amazing range, but that would have been a very difficult play. So that's a RBI single for Gallagher. Now one of the hometown heroes, Abby Hay, from right here in Columbia. Her dad played baseball here. Her mom was a golfer. Good job again by Torres, who was able to block it. And that run surrendered by Jayla Wright was the first one she has given up in the NCAA tournament. And the first time that Duke has trailed in this tournament as they swept through their Durham Regional last week. Hey, good contact. Jennings goes back for the second out.
Well, the thing about Hay is she makes loud outs. She hits the ball so well. The ball off of her bat makes a much different sound. Love the kind of aggression that she puts into her swing. You mentioned it, Pam. She started her career, or started her journey athletically with baseball, switched over to softball in high school.
2 away, Gallagher on first for the catcher, Julia Crenshaw, one of 10 native Missourians on the team.
And Coach Anderson talked about her team being so selfless. And when you talk selfless, Julia Crenshaw maybe embodies that the best. When they were playing up in New York, she told Coach to play another player, Abriscato, in front of her to be able to play in front of her family.
Abriscato from Smithtown, New York, and Crenshaw, who's from O'Fallon, Missouri, says, I'm fortunate. I get to play in front of my people all the time. And Abriscato got the start in that game and got the game-winning hit.
Yeah, against Hofstra, came away with a huge hit in front of her hometown crowd. Pretty cool move by Crenshaw to give the nod.
Crenshaw swings through the Jayla Wright pitch. That run Missouri scored was unearned because of the gold error. Wright has only given up 23 earned runs all year. Torres with the throw down, up the line, Baker got her. Gallagher is insisting she is safe, and they will look at it.
Well, that throw by Torres while on a line definitely was offline because of the location off the bag to the second base side.
Missouri is challenging the play at second base. The call on the field is out. The play is now under review.
I mean, Baker had to travel to catch this, but the beautiful swipe tag sells that she gets a hold, that she is trying to sell, that she touched Gallagher, but Gallagher's right. There was no contact made. I think this will be a pretty quick review, and Duke will have to stay on the field. But that's your job as a middle infielder. As a middle infielder, your job is to sell that you made the play. In that situation, if Baker went back to reapply a tag, that's an immediate indicator to a umpire that you didn't touch her. So the job is to sell it and move on. Replay will help us out to get it right. So she had to go so far to make that catch. It was going to be tough anyway. Great slide allowed Gallagher to be safe.
Gallagher's 10th stolen base in 11 attempts this season. 2-2 to Crenshaw. Another 2-2 on the way. taken inside, and Crenshaw thought that was ball 4. It was ball 3.
Well, a lot's happened in this at-bat to be able to keep track of the count. This is a beautiful spot. Drop ball inside. A little bit of screwball spin to it. That's going to be a tough pitch if Wright is not able to nab it as a strike in this game.
That was ball 4.
Well, Mizzou taking advantage of missed opportunities by Duke. The error to start the game allowed that one to come around. And then after a stolen base and a challenge, Crenshaw able to take the walk. I mean, this is a team that obviously last week had some lessons learned in those difficult elimination games in regionals.
Yep, and Marissa Young makes her first trip into the circle, gathers her entire infield around. And there is Felicia on the left, Big J on the right. The parents of Jayla living in Charlotte, North Carolina, and we see them often on the road. Jayla Wright, their baby, just gave up only her second walk in the NCAA tournament. She's been really good.
Yeah, they call Dad Big J and Jayla Little J.
Right now, Little J has a couple of runners on base for Kara Daly.
Daly has started every game the past 2 seasons. Has a huge RBI role in the lineup, and right now needs to be able to put this ball in play and allow Gallagher to use her wheels.
Daly, like Crenshaw before her, just hitting .213, but when she gets her hits, you're right, she's making them count with 32 runs driven in. Daly ahead 2-0 with 2 runners on. Smacked foul past Larissa Anderson. 6th year as the head coach here, taking them back to the NCAA tournament, and boy, what a season they have had. Most wins in 10 years, got all the way to the SEC championship game before falling to Florida.
And this is their 6th time as a program to host Supers. Excited to bring in the postseason for 2 weekends in a row with that 7 seed.
And boy, are they drawing. This is a beautiful, relatively new ballpark. That misses. '25th pitch of the inning coming from Wright.
Beautiful changeup, and you know that a pitcher has confidence in that off-speed pitch when they are able to throw it in a tight spot. A 3-1 count. Look at that beautiful 12-6 spin from top to bottom. Falls off the table, but also less velo.
Gets away from Torres, and Daly is able to get down to first. So in this inning, Missouri only has 1 hit. They've already plated a run, and they've got the bases loaded.
And that ball down in the dirt is something that Kelly Torres has to deal with all the time, knowing that this drop ball pitcher loves to throw it there, but she got so narrow behind the plate that she couldn't block it up with the ricochet so far away, and 2 outs. Even though first base was occupied, everyone's able to advance.
On the wild pitch, so the bases are loaded for Madison Walker, the true freshman, who came up big in the regional as a pinch hitter, rewarded now, starting as the DP.
It was 2 for 3 in regionals as a pinch hitter, and because of that production has been able to break her way in to the starting lineup in the DP role.
And look at this, how about it's her birthday? Chance to make it a very happy one indeed with the bases loaded here.
And she started the year in the 3-hole, but started to press and not be as productive in that spot. when she didn't perform, she had a chance to sit back and reevaluate what she needed to do, and has been able to put up big things in the postseason.
Torres had to block another one.
And you can put that on repeat, Pam. That ball in the dirt is just what Jayla Wright does. Typically likes to get the swing and miss on the ball down in the dirt. Torres typically very good at blocking it up. You don't see a lot of balls get past Torres behind the plate.
2-1 to Walker. Baker gets to it, flips to Vega to end the inning. A W World Series, but just 6 in the NCAA. Pam Ward, Jenny Dalton-Hill joining you. Best of 3 Super Regional. The winner goes to Oklahoma City. Giselle Tapia starts things off in the second inning for Duke. For Missouri, in the first inning, they sent 7 to the plate, and they have changed. They said Hano singled, and then they gave a throwing error to Gold that enabled her to get to second, so that run was considered to be earned. So the first earned run that Jayla Wright has given up in quite a while. Here's Tapia, the first baseman.
We've seen Tapia move over to second base at the end of games, taking over for Vega, but sitting down here in the bottom of the lineup, her job's to get on. The bottom of the lineup has not been as productive for Duke as they would like, and so they're still looking for the secret sauce to be able to be productive the first time through the lineup, and also 5 through 9 to be able to make more things happen and put runs on the board.
This is a Duke team under Marissa Young that has struggled to score early since the ACC tournament, which they call the ACC Championship. They have scored all but 1 run in the 4th inning or later. They had to go to 2 10-inning games to win a quarterfinal and a semifinal in the ACC Championship.
Yeah, only once have they scored before the 4th, and it was the Deanna Jennings home run that surprised everyone. It was the in the 3rd inning, but it was the 2nd time through the lineup for Duke.
First home run for Jennings in her collegiate career. She is a sophomore, but she told us that she thinks she's maybe hit 3 in her entire life.
Yeah, and maybe some in batting practice, she said. But she's become more of a swing-away type hitter as she's struggled with keeping her feet in the box. There she is in the dugout cheering on.
With the chair cups.
With the chair cups.
Tapia goes down swinging. Second strikeout in a row for Cranes. Women's College World Series returns to Oklahoma City starting Thursday at noon Eastern, live on ESPN. For more information, go to NCAA.com, the official online home for all 90 NCAA championships. Texas, the #1 overall seed, takes on Texas A&M later today. And that, Jenny Dalton-Hill, was only the 8th time this season that Giselle Tapia has struck out.
Yeah, when you talk about a player difficult to strike out, it's Tapia. I mean, she has not fallen prey to that 3rd strike very often this year. And so to get her on that rise ball shows that first time through the lineup, Duke's still trying to figure out Krings.
Again, these 2 programs have never played each other. Kelly Torres, the catcher. .366 batting average, over 100 points higher than last year. She's down 0-2. And before Duke even played its first game as a program, they did have softball camps, and Kelly came up from Florida to be a camper.
Well, Marissa Young had her work cut out for her, building a program from the ground up, and had to have those camps to find future talent.
And we talked to Torres last week, and she pretty much had decided early on that she wanted to go to Duke. Played for Coach Young, who was an exceptional pitcher and player at Michigan.
And Marissa Young had been at North Carolina for many seasons, so it was not a huge transition to have to go over to Duke and start the program. But look at the numbers that she was able to put up as a pitcher at Michigan. Player of the Year, Big Ten Player of the Year, Pitcher of the Year. I mean, she was so good. And now she's able to communicate all of those lessons learned from her time in the circle to her pitching staff this year, who has been so dominant.
Pitching staff coming in third in the nation in earned run average. They find themselves down 1-0. Torres finds fair territory. Not very fleet of foot, and also that was a great job by Cahalan to cut it off and hold her to a single.
When you think about the way Kelly Torres has been able to attack pitches, she is best on the changeup, hitting over 550 on that pitch that comes in with slower velocity. So takes advantage and just squeaks it right inside the line.
First hit of the game for the Devils sets up Jada Baker, the shortstop. One of the captains on this team.
And I love the way that Crenshaw's popping up behind the dish back there, but I don't expect to see Torres taking off, trying to take advantage of anything over there at first.
And she is 7 of 10, but yeah, I'm with you. I think she's going to try to get over there on the bunt that goes foul.
To be able to sacrifice bunt is one of the skills you need 1 through 9 in your lineup, knowing that small ball is sometimes the only way you can get the offense going. Baker definitely needs to get that sacrifice bunt down, but will not put it with an 0-2 count.
Sent skyward towards Honold. Out number 2.
Well, this Duke squad does not score the first time through the lineup. It just doesn't happen. And here at the end of the season, we've seen the adjustments made after their first time through. And then when the second time around happens, they start putting up pretty big numbers in terms of runs. So as we hit here at the bottom of the lineup for Duke, I'm not expecting big things, even though they want to be able to score. It's the second time through the lineup where we're seeing those bigger runs put up on the board.
Francesca Freelich, the DP, 1 for 3 last week in the regional. And Coach K told them when he talked to them, to the softball team, that he was betting his wife that Duke would score in the first inning. That didn't happen.
Well, Coach K.
Don't know what the bet was.
Yeah, you might have to pay up if it doesn't happen soon.
There's the throw behind Hay over there at first base. Despite their slow starts, won the ACC championship and outscored opponents in the regional 24-2. Freelich waves.
That pitch is nasty. And when you talk changeups and you talk big hitters trying to hit them, it is so hard to get a hold of that one because you're so far out in front. It's this tight spin of the ball that fools the eye into thinking that it's coming in with more velocity.
Coach Larissa Anderson talking about Kring's evolution over the years, that she's learned the art of pitching.
Every pitcher starts as a thrower, and it takes some time to be able to figure out what it takes to be a true pitcher, not just a thrower.
That is sent a long way into left field and clears the fence. Francesca Freelich has just hit her 6th home run of the season and puts Duke on top.
Freelich is 3rd in the country in sac flies. That one went a little bit deeper, and with a runner on 1, a fly ball wasn't going to do anything. Coach K, looks like you win that bet, knowing that that is the first time that this squad has been able to score before the 3rd inning in the postseason.
Just got over the fence, and the Duke faithful something to cheer about. The 2-out, 2-run home run. And there is Coach, she's got it, the Trident. Coach Young with the Duke Trident that they got shipped over from overseas. It's forged in, I think they said steel, some sort of metal. It's a for real Trident, and it stays back there until it comes out for the home runs.
What an awesome hit by Freelick, and she was so fooled on the changeup. I thought that they were going to go right back to it, but they gave her velocity. She was right on time. Huge swing for Freelick in the DP roll.
Burgess in the 9 spot, a true freshman. That's going to just drop in to fair territory. 3rd hit of the inning for Duke, and it turns over the lineup.
Well, you talk about how the bottom of the lineup was not producing, and now all of a sudden you're seeing all of the production down here at the bottom. Burgess not known for a ton of power, as the lefty with a ton of English off the bat going the other way. But
Deanna Jennings grounded out to second, her first time up. She is the 6th Blue Devil to bat here in the 2nd inning.
well, knowing she likes to push the ball to the left side, you see the left side in a little bit closer than the right side. And also, this squad is not catching up to the velocity right now of Krings. They're a little behind on their contact, and because of that, the ball is going oppo for these lefties. The left side's got to be ready.
One to Jennings. Deanna Jennings, pardon me. Talked about the home run she hit last week. She has 72 hits this year. 66 of them are singles.
Not hitting for a ton of power. We did see a triple in the regionals.
That's hit under the glove of Gallagher. And Burgess, who runs well, is coming all the way in. Duke scores again. Jennings with the RBI triple.
Okay, so who is Deanna Jennings? I don't think you can put a label on her anymore. We used to say she was a slapper that was out of the box all the time. In the last 3 games, we've seen her with a triple, a home run, and she is coming up big at the top of the lineup.
Her second triple of the season. Just her 7th extra base hit. And now the most dangerous hitter in their lineup in Claire Davidson.
Well, Claire Davidson is the typical 4-hitter, and with the way that this offense is rolling, you see movement in the bullpen with McCann warming. And we never anticipate to see one pitcher through a game. More often than not, here in the postseason, you see a full staff come at it, and you see a bunch of arms trying to disrupt timing, use different looks. And while Krings was so dominant in regionals, you would anticipate that here today, she's going to need some help.
1-1 to Davidson, who walked her first time up. Lifted into left field. Cahalan back and gets it a couple of steps onto the track. But
of softball, make sure you get your bathroom breaks, but plop yourself down, have a good watch.
you need to hydrate as well. So Duke trying to get to the bunt. Right got run into by Anna Gold. Linger gets on to start the second.
And that play is all about communication. Typically, you want to have your third baseman come across, pick that one up, because their momentum is going to give a better throw over there to first. So you don't see this collision very often, but Jayla Wright is very aggressive out of the circle. With that collision, no throw able to be made. And look at Mizzou picking apart Duke and just taking advantage of opportunities that are coming up defensively.
Linger with the bunt single starts things off. And now here's Cahalan, the left fielder. She also tries to get a bunt down.
But when you find a miscommunication or a weakness in a defense, you need to exploit it, especially knowing the way that Mizzou does not hit the long ball with consistency through the lineup. Just 39 home runs on the year, and we've got a shift defensively now on for Duke.
Cahalan with just 7 hits on the season, but becoming a everyday left fielder. Coach Anderson really loves her defense. And as you mentioned, they do depend on her short game.
And so Davidson comes in from right to play first base, shifts Tapia over to second, and then Vega on the other side of second base in that second shortstop position.
And we've done a lot of Duke games this year. I haven't seen them do this.
Well, defenses call for different things when you're playing retooled offenses across the diamond. And with the way that Mizzou has not been able to push lots of extra base hits around, the infield is an important part of their game.
That one goes foul.
But what you're seeing with the way that the defense is set up, Davidson is staying back at first base. So a drag bunt down the first base line is going to be a pretty open area. Look at all the ground over there on the right side of the infield. Now with a 1-2 count, I'm not looking for short game. She's going to touch and go, and with that split grip that she's got at the plate, she's trying to use that barrel control to push it where she wants it.
Now down 1-2, the bunt is off, and yes, Duke has no right fielder at the moment. We did see them employ this a lot last year, but it's the first time that I recall seeing it this season from the Devils.
You're right, and that split grip by Cahalan shows that she's trying to use some barrel control and put the ball where she wants it.
2-2, taken foul by Gold. So Davidson is the usual right fielder. She is playing the first base position.
Well, and when you look at the way that the defense is playing, you know she's not going to get an inside pitch. She's going to make sure that she keeps the ball away, knowing that Davidson is back and there's no right fielder.
Another 2-2. Gold picks it up, throws over to Davidson for the out. Halen does her job and gets Langer to second.
Well, and your job as a defender is to make sure that every ground ball is going to be made an out. And with the way that the defense was set up, Wright could not miss on the inside part of the plate because that ball would have rolled all the way to the wall. No right fielder, and so the shift now off. Davidson back to right, and Tapia back to first.
Top of the lineup, and Jenna Laird, who struck out swinging the first time she saw Wright. And yes, you score that, a 5-9 ground out. Even though Davidson was on first, she's a right fielder, and now she's back home. And oftentimes late in games, you will see Davidson come in to physically and really play first base. Over Davidson's glove, Langer comes around to cut the lead to 1.
And Laird, one of those quiet presences in the lineup, comes away with her 14th double of the year. Hanging a drop ball a little higher in the zone over the reach of Tapia, who moved back over to first base to play that slot. An easy advancement for Langer. And look at the excitement. Mizzou pushes another one across, and they're now just within 1 of tying it back up.
Yeah, pardon me, Tapia could not get to it over at first on Laird's 50th career double. Hano singled and scored Missouri's first run.
And now we have our first action clock violation by Jayla Wright. We know that she pushes that 20-second clock to its limits, and what that left arm, his arms today.
Timeout taken by Wright.
And both of these staffs use different ways of bringing the pitch in. You'll see that watch-looking device on Wright's arm. That is an electronic device that she uses to receive the pitch call from the dugout. Mizzou still using the 3-number call in from Larissa Young, and so, or Larissa Anderson. We got Larissa and Marissa. I'm
a couple of Rissas. Now the 2-1 with Laird over at second.
Well, and Pam, with Vega not protecting second base at all after a pitch, what that's giving is Laird the ability to take a huge lead over there at second, not have to be very aware of her middle infield, who are playing really wide, taking away the 3-4 and the 5-6 hole.
Ano draws the walk. Second one given up by Wright.
Well, and Wright is not a pitcher who gives up a ton of free passes. That's just her 47th free pass or walk this season, compared to 185 strikeouts that she has on the year.
An opportunity with still just one away. Part of the lineup in Gallagher, who had a RBI single in the first inning. Peel down, called a swing. Throw down. Gold wasn't back at third. Heads up base running by Laird.
You are seeing Mizzou take advantage of Duke just not being as sharp as what we're used to seeing. And when you've got a runner on second base and you're a third baseman, you've got to get back to that bag every single time. Gold actually started talking to her pitcher in the circle, which gave way to a really easy advancement by Mizzou.
So Laird, the senior, heads up base running down at third. Gallagher behind 0-2.
Well, and Pam, maybe this is a situation where Duke not really challenged at their regional. The way that they were able to win all of their games, they did not feel their backs against the wall. And so what we're seeing is maybe too easy of an approach to their game here today, where Mizzou had to fight for their life for 4 straight games.
Well, Duke hosted the Durham Regional last week. Outscored their opponents 24-2. They had an incredible 8-run inning to put South Carolina away, an inning that lasted over 35 minutes, the half inning.
And then a run rule win as well. I mean, they were able to put up a ton of runs, didn't feel a ton of pressure.
Vega has to charge. And now the throw home, and Laird is safe. Vega looked her back momentarily to third, but then Jenna came anyway.
I mean, Laird is so fast. She leads the team in stolen bases. You knew that she was going to put pressure on the defense. Vega may be the defensive player of the year in the ACC, but when she sees how far Laird is off, she still goes to get the out at first. It's difficult to trade and go for that runner at third base. Laird made that one look easy and ties up the ballgame.
2 away for Abby Hay, who flew out to center her first time. And that was the 50th pitch for Jayla Wright, and we're only in the second inning.
And the corners have not been available to Jayla Wright here today. That was how she got so many outs, not only in the ACC tournament, but also in regionals. And now, as she comes here, she's extending off the plate and is not getting that call, so she's having to bring the ball back over the white.
More hittable pitches there for Missouri. She goes 3-0 now on Hay, with Crenshaw on deck. Another timeout taken. And here comes Tracy Laycock out to talk to Jayla Wright.
this conversation is all about the action clock, making sure that she's not calling time to avoid an action clock violation. Looked as though Jayla Wright was saying, look, my hand was feeling sticky. I needed to grab some dirt to get my grip a little bit better. But back behind the plate, we're seeing Tracy Laycock, the umpire, trying to take control of the game and not let Jayla Wright use the action clock to her advantage.
Called ball 4.
On Pam, while we know Abby Hay is a difficult bat to throw to, Jayla Wright typically gets that call on the outside corner. That is a beautiful spot, but so far has been unable to grab the corners in this game.
Third walk in the tournament. Third walk today surrendered by Wright. Pardon me, Crenshaw was the first walk she gave up.
And I feel like what happens is in this situation is it gets in the head of Jayla Wright, and this is something that needs to be addressed because it will play with the head of Wright, and I think that's what's happened as now Wright will give way to a change in the circle.
And it's Cassidy.
Step in with a ton of velo. She relies on her curve to touch corners. The corners right now not really available. She's going to have to adjust that back into a hittable zone, unfortunately, but her rise ball has a .050 batting average on it.
That one goes high and tight to Crenshaw as Curd inherited a 1-0 count from Wright. And Cassidy Curd, she's a kid, she's just a sophomore, and that's kind of what you see there. Curd has she's kind of fun-loving kid, but she's the first to admit that she doesn't know where the ball is going at times either.
Yeah, when you talk to pitchers, sometimes they say, oh, I don't really know where it's going. No, Cassidy Curd is effectively wild. When she leans back, she's actually just creating timing through her motion to be able to figure out when the snap and the spin needs to be created. And that leg drive is able to push off harder too.
In the air for Baker to end
even here at Mizzou.
Yep, we're only in the top of the third inning in a game that started an hour ago. Game one of the best of three super regional. Pam Ward and Jenny Dalton Hill joining you as Amina Vega leads things off. Jayla Wright lasted only an inning and 2/3. That is her shortest start of the season since she only lasted that's her shortest start of the season. An inning and 2/3, pardon me. She did go 2 innings and was lifted against Virginia Tech back in late March. So the shortest start for Wright. And Krings delivers. Laird, whose legs and brain helped bring that run across there in the last half inning, makes the play at short.
To be able to have high softball IQ pays dividends in tight ball games because you don't have to wait for a coach to tell you what to do. I wish I could convince more travel ball teams and young, like Little League teams, to allow the players to make mistakes when they're 8, 9, 10 years old, because that's what you're seeing players reach back on and be successful through when they're able to think the game at a higher level.
Anna Gold struck out the first time she saw Krings. Had a throwing error in the field.
Well, Pam, it's not just the throwing error that I'm concerned about by Gold. It was the lack of coverage at third base, which allowed the base runner to advance on a steal in the middle of what seemed to be a nothing kind of inning. Mizzou's been exploiting Gold.
Missouri, a team that does not put up eye-popping offensive numbers, only hitting .265 as a team, averaging under 5 runs per game. But you're seeing what they do, manufacturing runs, taking extra bases, challenging defenses. 3-0 to Gold, taking all the way up and in. 1-out walk. Second walk of the game allowed by Krings. NCAA Division I Women's Lacrosse semifinals on ESPNU. Coming from Cary, North Carolina, it is Florida taking on Northwestern, who seems to win every tournament. And then it's Syracuse and Boston College. It's an all-ACC semi. National championship game is Sunday at noon Eastern on ESPN, and we hear that Florida is already up 1-0 on Northwestern. That game has already started over on the U. Northwestern's head coach played at Maryland.
Which is where you went.
Fortunately, she's not coaching there. She's a great coach at Northwestern. No offense to Maryland's lacrosse coach, that is. Giselle Tapia trying to get something done. She also struck out. That is tapped to Gallagher. Nice play to flip it over to Laird to get the lead runner.
And it can be difficult to keep your concentration on a ground ball like that when you've got a runner passing in front of you. And Gallagher was playing pretty deep, able to get a nice little backhand toss for the first out. There's no chance to be able to get the double play, but that's a huge backhand toss. Really nice delivery.
Torres singled and scored on Freelich's home run last inning to give Duke a 3-1 lead that was short-lived. Torres got under it. Cahalan says it's all mine. Duke strands Cara Daly. Facing Cassidy Curd, who got Crenshaw to pop up to end the second after Curd came in for Jayla Wright, the starter.
On Daly in her first at bat was heads up at the plate, did strike out, but was able to advance to first base on the wild pitch back behind the plate by Kelly Torres. And I'm impressed with the way that Mizzou continues to show that they know the game. It's not something that head coach Larissa Anderson has to make them execute. They think the game, they feel the game, and they're able to just make things happen without needing to be told by their head coach. I think gone are the days, Pam, where kids just go out into the cul-de-sac or into the empty lot and play wiffle ball or stick ball or whatever they're going to do, and just be able to make their own rules and figure out how to advance runners. But when you think about the way that these players play the game now, it's through travel ball mostly, and they're being told what to do the whole time.
Daly hits left-handers much better than right-handers, but not in that instant as she sits down.
When it comes to hitting off of Curd, she has kind of a hidden delivery, though, and because of that hidden delivery, as a right-handed batter, it takes longer for you to pick the ball up, so that ball away a little bit harder to see. Great placement and gets the strikeout.
Now Madison Walker worked up for the second time, pardon me, and the difference between Wright and Curd, very different.
Oh, completely. Jayla Wright, very predictable. You know the ball's going to be down on the zone. While you don't know which side of the plate it's going to be, you can typically look belt and below to attack right in the circle. When you've got Curd, you can just go ahead and close your eyes and swing at times, because even she doesn't know where the ball is going. And the way that you can tell, look at the heat map that we're able to get from 6-4-3. It is all over the place. Yes, up in the zone is typically where she likes to go, but just look at all those dots that continue to show that she has not a ton of predictability.
Baker backhanded, recovered, and Tapia could not scoop it. Walker, one out base runner.
And that's a great backhand grab by Baker, but because it comes out of the glove, not fielded cleanly, sometimes your heart rate can get high and doesn't have a great grip. Without the grip, throws the ball in the dirt, and Tapia cannot scoop it. Your job as a first baseman is to make sure that you keep the ball in front. She definitely kept the ball in front, but on that scoop, you've got to stride late and get the short hop pick rather than stride early and let the ball each up like that.
Pinch runner Danielle Blackston comes in to run for Walker. And that was ruled a throwing error, or an error on Baker, that allowed Walker to get to first base. There's Kaylee Linger, got a bunt single and scored in the 2-run second inning.
Well, we've talked about this before, Pam. Kelly Torres is a very active catcher, loves to throw behind, but with a right-handed first baseman, it can open you up to a delay steal, knowing that the back of Tapia will be to the field when she goes down to make a tag on a back pick.
That one got Langer. 2 on, 1 away.
Well, knowing how wild Cassidy Curd can be at the plate, she doesn't hit a ton of batters. She's been pretty good of staying around the zone. Just her 5th batter that she's hit this year.
But conversely, Langer leads her team. That's the 22nd time she's been hit by a pitch this year. Alyssa Anderson going to make another move.
And we're seeing some conversations by the umpires. It looks as though this will be a challenge.
Duke is challenging the hit by pitch at the plate. The play is now under review.
And so for a batter to be able to hold their ground and take first base on a hit by pitch, the ball has to be completely in the batter's box. And so as this ball comes in, it looks as though Young is going to say that she was leaked out over into the river, or the area between home plate and that batter's box line. I don't know that she's going to be able to get this call, though, because as Langer wears it, she's actually backing away from the plate, not trying to move into the ball coming in. I mean, I think she played that one pretty perfectly, and she's going to stay at first.
Can win a game coming in as a pinch hitter.
When we usually talk about body of work, meaning a team heading into the postseason, but when you look at Chester, she's got a full body of work on this season with 115 at-bats coming into this one. So she is not coming in cold off the bench. She's been tested this season.
Oh, 1. Burgess grabs it for out number 2.
And Chester was just behind that. Curd able to jam her up, strong enough to push it to the outfield. Gave a little scare by Burgess out there in the outfield. Had to cover quite a bit of ground to come in with it. But with this ball riding up and in on the hands of the right-handed batter, she gets it on the inside of the barrel. Had she been just a little earlier in her swing, that ball was going to make it to the berm.
Jenna Laird up for the 3rd time in as many innings. Double, stole a base, and then took home after inducing an infield throw.
Pam, if that pitch up right above the belt is not going to get called, Curd's going to struggle. And if Mizzou can show discipline on that pitch, while it's competitive, if it is called a strike, it's going to take Curd out of her typical game.
Had a lot of the plate and was not high or low. Called the ball.
And I love a competitive strike zone, but we've seen some pretty small strike zones in the postseason, and it definitely gives the edge to the batter knowing that you don't have to swing outside of a pretty nice pitch down the middle.
All right, you just wait for whatever it is you're looking for. We were at the Durham Regional last week, South Carolina taking on Duke, and Dawn Staley, the head coach, the women's basketball head coach, she was even tweeting about it.
And talking about how, come on, give these girls a break. It's a strike. Let them play.
Staley, a big softball fan. 2-2. Everybody has to come back.
Well, but you can tell right now that Mizzou has not timed up Curd. They are behind on their swings, and timing is everything when you're a batter. They're a little late on the velocity of Curd, which is getting the barrel behind the ball. They're hitting it on the inside near the handle.
Big strikeout for Curd to strand a couple of us anticipated Jayla Wright coming out so early. That's the earliest exit for a starter this year. What was your thinking behind it?
I think the zone's a little tight back there, and we're not playing clean defense behind her, so we went with something a little bit different with Cass up in the zone and hopefully getting more swing and misses.
You're not wrong. The strike zone is small, and when it comes to hitting against the pitcher that you see in the circle, Krings, what kind of adjustments do you need to see, even though Freelich had that huge home run?
I think we're having some really good at-bats, swinging at good pitches. We just got to get a little more on top of that rise ball.
All right, Coach Young, thank you so much.
Thank you.
That is the ACC Coach of the Year, and Marissa Young. And yeah, she was talking about her team. Here's Jayla Wright, again, who just lasted an inning in 2/3, shortest start of the season. Duke not tight. 2 errors, but also from their pitchers, 3 walks, a hit by pitch, a wild pitch. Just hasn't been a clean game.
Well, I think it comes down to being tested in regionals. This Missouri team has had to play for their life in multiple games to make it to this moment, and Duke able to cruise to a pretty easy regional win.
Jada Baker starting things off here in the top of the 4th. 3 runs on 4 hits and 2 errors for Duke. Same for Missouri, but with 0 errors. 2-run home run by Freelich, the big blow for Duke.
Well, maybe what this Duke team needs to do is take some notes from what Mizzou is doing in the box. They are being more patient and swinging at pitches that are maybe a little more competitive and making the pitcher work harder than what they're making Krings do.
Baker got underneath it. Daly drifts into foul territory for the out.
So a great turnaround at the bottom by the number 8 hitter.
That gave Duke a 3-1 lead that Missouri quickly countered in the bottom of the 2nd inning.
Well, and now Mizzou's mad. The fans are mad that that pitch is not a strike. Well, guess what? It's not a strike on the other side either. They're just now noticing it with Krings in the circle. And the thing that you see with seasoned pitchers in the circle is that they're able to manipulate the ball by an inch and get that pitch called a strike. So that one looked pretty similar to the first one, but gets the strike call on the second. On that shake of the head by Krings, you know that it's frustrating in the circle. This is a pitcher that knows how to throw to a strike zone, and right now, back behind the dish, the strike zone is minuscule.
Hit hard but foul. Minuscule is it's almost a Stanford word. That's a good word.
Thanks. But when it comes to being able to square up a ball, I think Freelich's probably seeing the ball the best out of the lineup right now. She has got barreled a ball pretty well off of Krings here today.
Got the home run off of her the first time and smashed that one.
And minuscule means small.
Teeny tiny.
Yeah.
Itsy bitsy. Daly. Those are out.
And if you're not aggressive over there on the corner with that slow roller, Freelich's going to take advantage of you down the line. Not only do I like the way that Daly attacked that ground ball, but the stretch by Hay, nose back behind the leather, that's a pretty nice look over there at first base.
Neither team has been retired in order yet in this game. Burgess tries to keep that going here for Duke. She singled and scored on Jennings' RBI triple in the 3-run second. And Krings' pitch count just south of 70, and here we are in the 4th inning. A lot of base runners for both teams.
When you get to the end of a season, you're seeing the best arms, the best hitters, the best defenders in the country with just 16 teams left playing Division I softball.
Burgess falls behind 1-2. Burgess, a true freshman from League City, Texas. Gallagher. Krings for the first time, super regional and hosting. And boy, Krings, you told us yesterday that she never wants to come out of a ball game. Wanted the ball, was so great in the regionals. A little rocky at times here, but seems to have settled in. What are you seeing from her?
Yeah, you're right. She has settled in. A little out of time with that changeup. I think she left a couple up, and those are the ones that were hit hard. But I think that last inning, there was a lot better rhythm with her.
Well, and I'm impressed with the softball IQ of your squad, who is taking advantage of some defensive miscues by Duke. What kinds of things do you need out of your hitters now, though, to make some adjustments?
And I don't think they're miscues. I think it's just seeing what the game is giving us and taking advantage. And we know that they throw the ball low in the zone and being able to capitalize on those. But, I mean, we're getting people on base. We just got to come through with a clutch at bat in those situations.
All right, Coach, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks. MIZ.
Are you supposed to say it back?
ZOU, I think you're supposed to complete it. Is that?
But I love that response by Larissa Anderson, not saying that Duke was making mistakes, but they were exploiting opportunities and just being able to pick up, you know, drop balls from right with dirt ball angle reads. I mean, that's a good ball club that's picking up those things on their own.
And as you mentioned, that's a smart ball club. Jenna Laird among those as Honold starts things off. She got on base twice against Wright, who departed after an inning and 2/3. Game 2 of the Super Regional scheduled for tomorrow, noon local time. That's 1 Eastern. Lots of softball. Just keep it on ESPN2 all day, and you're good.
Yeah, just go ahead and order food in today.
Yep. I don't think Alabama, Tennessee is going to start on ESPN2. They'll be somewhere. You'll find them.
And that's that unpredictable movement out of Curd, knowing that she loves to throw the curve, but the curve has some giddy up that gives you some upspin every once in a while, and because of that upspin, it rises out of the zone. You think it's just going to be away, and then it's over the barrel.
I love when we talked to Cassidy yesterday. She said, when I throw, mechanics go out the window. Kind of nailed it, huh?
Well, and what she meant was when she throws in a game. She's not thinking about mechanics.
When she's pitching.
She's always thinking mechanics in the bullpen or in practice. But once she gets to a game, she lets it flush and just goes back to what feels good and lets it fly.
That's a full count. Tapper, Curd, softly to Tapia to lead the 4th inning off with that ground out. The path to the Super Regionals was not an easy one for Missouri as they fell to Omaha in 9 innings. They had to win 4 straight games, a doubleheader on both days, and they did it.
Well, and they talked about how after that loss, they needed 4 straight wins. Everyone sat in the cold tub. Everyone went into recovery mode, knowing it was going to be 4 hard-fought games to make it out of regionals.
And that is exactly what they did. Had to go to extras to win it 1-0 against a really good Omaha squad. Outstanding pitching on both sides.
And Coach Anderson talked about how the investment came not just from her starting 9, but from top to bottom of the roster.
Gallagher sends it towards Jennings. Jennings and Burgess out there in the outfield, and center and left respectively cover a lot of ground.
Jennings is so fast. I mean, she takes great angles. We've seen great catches, great dives by her out there in center. And then Burgess, the freshman for Duke, covering equal ground and left, and they are respecting the hitter at the plate.
That is Abby Hay, who flew out to Jennings her first time up.
But as a hitter, when you step into the box, you've got to be able to look at your defense, and that'll tell you a lot of times where they're going to pitch you. And with the outfield shaded to the right side, I would expect to see a lot of balls on that outside corner to Hay.
No swing as they appeal down.
Ooh, and that's a missed opportunity for Hay. She knew that one was up. Let the barrel get across the plate. But that's a pitch that she knew she would be able to wail on because it was above the belt. Oh, she knew that she shouldn't go around. It is so hard to hold up on that pitch.
Kurds ahead of her 1-2. Cassidy Kurd. First time that Missouri has gone best of 3 super regional. Duke, the ACC champions, taking on Missouri, who were the SEC tournament runner-up or runners-up to Florida. Deanna Jennings starting things off, top of the order for Duke, who scored all 3 runs in the second inning. Jennings with an RBI triple. Cut off by Daly, who was playing in, and makes the nice play to get Jennings.
When you play on that hot corner, you've got to have quick reflexes, and knowing that this ball was going to get through that 5-6 hole potentially, or if it got to the shortstop, give enough time for Jennings to get down the line. That was a do-or-die play by Daly. Great glove work, beautiful throw. She made that look easy. That's a difficult play with the kind of speed going down the line.
And you're right, had it gotten through to Laird, she would have had to backhand it, and Jennings flies down to first base. Claire Davidson walked and then flew out, with Jennings on third to end the second, which is unusual for Davidson. Davidson hitting .538 with runners in scoring position coming in to this game. And there's the trident that comes out when Duke hits home runs. And yeah, the parents of this senior class got together and had that shipped from Europe.
Well, it was Claire Davidson's dad, I think, that took the initiative to try to come away with something that they could leave as a memory of this great senior class. And the trident, that's going to be there for a while.
Davidson sends it into center field. Her first hit of the game.
Well, and that's one of the things that I think has evolved so well for Davidson this season, is watching the way that she has used her barrel control to take advantage of pitches that she gets. She doesn't just swing out of her shoes and swing for the fences, but she noticed in that at-bat that her defense was very deep. And with that, a lot of grass to play with, and just punched it into the outfield to get herself on.
A one-out base runner for Vega, who was fouled out and grounded out. First pitch swinging, that goes into the gap. Honold can't get it. One hops off the wall, and then she bobbled it, and that enables Davidson to score all the way from first, and Duke retakes the lead.
So in a hitter like Davidson, who uses the outfield that they've been giving her a ton of grass, Vega steps in and absolutely crushes this ball to the left center gap. I thought the bounce was going to take it out of the park, which would have kept Davidson at third. But with that big hop and then the hard grab to be able to get it, it gives Davidson a chance to get all the way around from first.
And now Leah Terrell comes in to run for Vega over at second. Oftentimes we've seen Vega pinch run for this year, and it's Terrell's turn, probably their primary pinch runner. Here's Anna Gold. Struck out and walked today. So Vega with the RBI double puts Duke back on top off Lauren Krings. Daly holds the runner at second and throws out Gold, 2 outs.
That's one of those hard ground balls to pick up, knowing that it might hop, but it was like a worm burner. You just had to keep the glove down and hope that it stayed low. And great defense over there at third. We're seeing great lateral moves, but then to be able to keep her nose behind that one, not pick up, but keep the fingers of the glove at the dirt to make that play.
Kara Daly from Jefferson City, not too far from here, grew up going to Missouri softball games as a fan, as a little girl. Now plays third quite well for them. Tall third baseman, 6 feet tall.
Well, that kind of height also gives her the wingspan to be able to come away with balls down the line and in that hole to help out her defense.
Now Tapia tries to come up with a 2-out base hit. Pinch runner Terrell over at second. Tough play for Gallagher, backhands it, not in time, and now the throw home gets Terrell. And right away, Taylor White, the third base coach, says we're going to challenge that. So a close play at first, and then Terrell called out at home. A lot going on here, Jenny Dalton-Hill.
Well, and in this play, you know that runs are at a premium, and so you're going to try to take advantage.
The call on the field is out. That play is now under review.
You're going to take advantage of plays made. So the call at first base is not the play being challenged, it's the play at the plate. But with that play at first base, Hay turns around and delivers a great throw to the catcher, Crenshaw. But I think the hand of the pinch runner, Terrell, gets in, and right off of this, her eyes peek over to see what Hay's going to do with the ball. With that peek, she knows she needs to stay wide on the slide to be able to get the hand in there. It's called out, but now has learned that she needs to be geared up to 100% every pitch to be effective.
Facing Kelly Torres, who was 1 for 2 with a single against Krings. McCann with some very impressive numbers, the sub-2 ERA. We talked about both of these staffs with impressive ERAs. Missouri a sub-2 ERA as a staff on the season.
Well, knowing that you're going to have to attack up in the zone now, Kelly Torres falls prey to that rise ball, gets the swing. When you look at McCann in the circle, defense going to play her straight up. Outfield shaded a hair to the left, but not enough to worry about location in the zone. It's not tipping anything off to the batter.
Torres takes one high on an 0-2 pitch as we look at McCann's scout.
Well, decent velo, but she hammers the zone with the rise and the curve. She'll extend off if the batter shows that she'll chase, but watch out for that changeup. It yields a ton of outs.
Chance for Laird to retire Torres, but an RBI double for action. Top of the hour, Alabama and Tennessee. About 5 minutes from now, you can catch that start on ESPN News or the app, which is such a great resource. Pam Ward and Jenny Dalton-Hill joining you. Had a lot going on here in this game. It's Julia Crenshaw faces Curd for the second time. Crenshaw was the first batter that Curd faced when she came in to relieve Jayla Wright, a starter who just lasted an inning in 2/3. But we've seen that tandem before, excuse me, in the Florida State in the ACC championship game. Curd came in after Wright pitched the first 3 innings and totally shut down the Seminoles. And now she's trying to replicate that today.
Well, and in that situation, I don't know that Wright was rattled. I think Wright got rattled early on in this game by not being able to nip corners, and because she got rattled, she got in her head. And when you get in your head as a pitcher, you start to leave balls big, knowing you have to get it back over the plate to get the strike. So going to Curd, obviously was Wright's shortest outing of the year. And with that strike zone, she just struggled to get around it. And enter Curd, who now throws that crazy, effectively wild arsenal back here behind the dish. Still not getting a ton of calls on the corners, but Mizzou swinging out of the zone a little bit more.
Curd ahead 1-2. Punched out to start the 5th inning.
Well, and while I agree with that strike, the problem I have with it is it hasn't been a strike all day. And so as a hitter, you let it go with confidence, thinking, oh, no big deal, I live to see another pitch. But with that one getting called, now what do you think as a hitter? You better attack early and not leave it up to the home plate umpire.
4th strikeout, as you see, for Cassidy Curd. Daly comes in. She was the first person that Curd struck out. A fluid strike zone is not a good one.
Well, and I'm fine with that being called a strike if it is consistent. The problem is it's not a consistent strike, and as a hitter, you have to know what's being called back behind the dish to be an effective hitter. By the time you get 2 strikes on you, maybe you've battled to that point, but when you get to that point, you have to know what's being called a strike behind the plate. And right now, up in the zone and corners, you're vulnerable. You better protect.
Curd falls behind 2-0. She has not allowed a hit since she came in to relieve Wright in the 2nd inning. Jenna Laird's double was the last hit they've had. And again, Tora is always good to go out and get things back on the right foot. But yeah, the Wright Curd situation in Florida State, different situation, but what a luxury, right, for Marissa Young, no matter the circumstance, to be able to go from Wright to Curd in the same game.
And to have such different looks. You also have Lily Walker that can throw for Duke, who comes in with a nasty changeup. So you've got 3 different pitchers, 3 different looks, and all very successful at what they do. And again, inconsistencies lead to extra strikes for hitters who have been able to watch pitches during the day, during earlier at bats, and then just get called a strike and have to extend the at bat. Okay, there is no reason to let that pitch go by. If there was a meatier, fatter pitch thrown today, I don't know that I've seen it. Get the barrel off your shoulder and take that one out to hit your face on the scoreboard.
Full count now to Crenshaw, whose picture is on the scoreboard. But in Crenshaw's defense,
Yes.
I know you were a great hitter, I know. With the strike zone being so wonky, does that maybe make you less or more hesitant, pardon me, to take the bat off your shoulder?
Pam, that was a strike no matter who was calling behind the plate, and for sure you need to tattoo that one. Square it up, be on time, get that front foot down, and give it a ride.
Just got a piece of it to stay alive. Jenny Dalton-Hill, you're a little fired up here.
I had to put my hair up. I mean, I'm getting hot, heated up here. I mean,
figuratively and literally hot.
Well, yeah, the rain
Yes.
could be moving in, but more than that, like, you have to take advantage of opportunities. And with the wind blowing, I'm almost losing my papers out of the window. You've got to take advantage of opportunities. And right now, Mizzou missing those opportunities.
8th pitch of the at-bat results in the 3rd straight strikeout for Cassidy Curd.
And that effectively wild goes right back into it. She allows pitches to sit flat at times. She throws through her spin, meaning the spin doesn't have the right trajectory, and she works more on velocity. And when a pitcher throws through their spin, it sits flat. Mizzou has to time up that velocity to take advantage.
Madison Walker, we look, and that's called a strike. And Daly, the previous batter, remember, that was a 3-0 count. Thought she was walked, and then Curd eventually struck her out.
That's a pitch I've struck out on hundreds of times. So nod to Kara Daly. girl, I got you. I've struck out on that one multiple times. It looks very hittable coming in, but man, with that tight rise spin, it just gets over the barrel and you have to head back to the dugout.
3 straight strikeouts for Cassidy Curd.
Well, and the hard part about hitting off of Cassidy Curd is the fact that when the ball starts mid-thigh or belt high, you think, I need to be ready to not swing in case it goes up. But with the velocity coming out of the circle, you've got to make your decision so early. Sometimes it sits flat and you take advantage. Sometimes it has that rise ball spin and you have to sit down with the strikeout. And she does not throw the changeup very often. She will pull it out like right there every so often to let hitters know that it's in her arsenal, but it is not a pitch that she throws with a ton of accuracy. You do not have to worry about it late in a count or when, as a hitter, you're ahead.
Now the 2-2. Gold takes some extra time. Cassidy Curd still has not given. As we head to the top of the 6th inning, bottom of the order up for Duke, Baker, Freelick, and Burgess taking on Marissa McCann, who got Kelly Torres to ground out to close the 5th inning when she relieved Krings. Baker sends one off the screen. Not only a great crowd today, Jen, how about a record crowd here at this softball stadium? First time I've been here, and I mean, it's like you're gobsmacked. I mean, it's just gorgeous. And the fans have really supported this club as Baker sends it towards Hunold to start the 6th.
We saw a good adjustment in the last batter of the last inning, but look at these chairs. This is actually an innovation of Little League, according to head coach at Missouri, Larissa Anderson. You saw off those back legs, and it gives you a more level seat out there on the berm.
3,806 people. That is a new program record. They set records during the regional last week, and looks like they're going to smash them this week.
Well, if you're looking for good softball, you're in the perfect spot, knowing you knew this was going to be a knock 'em out, drag 'em out kind of game. This super regional, maybe the most evenly matched in terms of the way that these teams play.
Freelick had a 2-run homer back in the 2nd off starter Krings. Now I hope that that's sunscreen and not just like whitewash.
That's dedication.
I mean, his pores have got to be screaming right about now. But that's a fan. And he's been standing the whole game. Freelick pounces on it, but perfectly positioned to Halen. Nice play, 2 away.
I'm impressed with the way that Freelick's swinging the bat here in this super regional. She has squared up every single ball that she has hit today.
Now passes on some information to Burgess, who is coming up to face McCann for the first time. Again, these two teams have never played in softball. And then Freelick goes over to talk to Deanna Jennings, who's in the hole and now on deck. That's a good teammate, right?
Definitely is. You know that McCann has not been seen by anyone in the lineup.
So what kind of things would you be saying? Not necessarily specifically here, but what kind of things would you say when you talk to a teammate about pitchers?
Well, when I played at Arizona, we would just say hit the ball. We didn't give a lot of information to one another because we didn't want to think. We wanted to stay athletic. But you definitely need to know, is she throwing rise? Is she throwing curve? Is she throwing screw? What part of the plate is she attacking? The problem is, if the information is coming from a left-handed batter to a right-handed batter, it could be skewed because your skill set may be different to another batter's skill set. So you have to take into consideration who you're getting the information from and filter it through appropriately.
Also, when you played at Arizona, with all due respect, there was not the technology. Hardly any games were even on television, so there was really not a lot of video. You couldn't do a lot of the advanced scouting unless you went there in person.
Yeah, and scouting was something that you had to see in person. You weren't going to be able to show that on a screen to anybody else. Yeah, when you talk about how much we were on TV, we only were shown in the playoffs. So typically, my freshman year, we only had the national championship game, and it was tape delayed, edited for content. I mean, it was a much different time, for sure, in terms of scouting.
Burgess down 1 and 2. McCann with the strikeout. She has retired all 4 Blue Devils that she has for 10 national seed. 8-9 one-hitters due up for Missouri against Cassidy Curd, who has retired 8 Tigers in a row, has not allowed a hit since coming on to relieve Jayla Wright. And Lily Walker, she of the filthy, nasty, dirty, take your pick adjective, changeup is warming in the Duke pen, but the way Curd is throwing right now, we're hoping they won't have to take her out.
Well, and the adjustment that Mizzou is needing to make against Curd is to stay on top of their approach of barrel. And if they do make that change, I would anticipate seeing Lily Walker enter the game with that filthy changeup.
Kaylee Linger trying to get things going. She's been on base twice today, a bunt single, and then was hit by a Curd pitch back in the 3rd. She is the last base runner that Missouri has had.
That is a great hack. You know that pitch, that's the kind of swing I want to see early in a count for these Tiger hitters, knowing that they can sometimes sit flat when they come out of the hand of Curd. And when you see that spin, it looks like a doorknob turning, that means the ball's going to sit flat. It's hard to pick up spin as a hitter, but if you can attack a pitch that sits flat, you're going to have a much better chance of being successful.
Bounce back to 2-2. Goes full now with Cahalan on deck. She was pinch hit for in her last scheduled plate appearance.
Foul ball hit the knob, not the batter. I don't know. I think I would have played that one off and grabbed my arm and start running to first base. Oh, hit right on the handle, not even the knob.
Yeah, Linger didn't try to sell that at all. Pitch number 8 in this at-bat to Kaylee Linger. From Liberty, Missouri, about an hour and 20 minutes from Columbia, one of 10 Missouri natives on the squad for Coach Anderson. Nice patient at bat. That's how to play, so we'll see at least 10 pitches in this at bat.
When you look at the way that this order has been able to produce, it's been the top of the order that has put the runs up on the board. And because of that, this bottom of the lineup really needs to start turning it on. This is a do or die situation, knowing you've got just 3 games to win 2. And if you can't pull this one out, you're going to be back against the wall again tomorrow.
Set her down on the 10th pitch of the at-bat.
Well, Pam, the crazy thing about this is we saw Langer so aggressive on this pitch, belt high early in the at-bat, and then lets it go right down Main Street. That's a difficult one to let go by, but a great strikeout for Curd to start the inning.
She now has 6 on the day. Here's Cahalan. Torres ran out of room and hangs onto the screen. Or the netting there, kind of like Spider-Man, because you know she's going to go full out.
Oh, 100% she's going to. And on a drag bunt, you've got to make sure you hit the top of the ball. And the barrel got below the knob, which a lot of times allows the ball to go straight up. When you look at the efficiency of Curd, though, she has struck out the first batter 3 of the 4 innings that she has taken the circle.
Yeah, it was just Langer with the bunt single. That's the only batter in the bottom of the order that's gotten a hit, and that was off of right. So an 0-1 now to Cahalan.
And it's so easy to be an armchair quarterback and say, oh, why aren't they swinging at that pitch? Well, you don't know where that spin is going to take it. More often than not, I would err on the side of swinging early in a count to try to take advantage of a ball that sits flat and looks silly on a rise ball.
Upstairs to the true freshman who is listed at 5'1".
Small strike zone, right?
Split grip. Seven Ks now for Curd. Men's lacrosse semifinals are coming up.
She actually gets more information from Torres than she does from the pitcher that's in the circle. Torres talking about spin, talking about location, and that's the information that Young needs back in the dugout to call those pitches.
Curd struck out Laird. First time she faced her today. Laird has a double and a stolen base, scored a run, and Marissa Young, you know, was an elite pitcher herself at Michigan, but says that catchers see things differently than pitchers. She said sometimes a pitcher will say, hey, I just threw that right down the middle, and then go look at the recording of it and see that it was nowhere close to where they thought they threw it.
And she admits that she said the
she
same
was one of
thing
those
as a
pitchers.
pitcher.
Yeah.
And as a pitcher, you think, wow, that was right on the corner. But a catcher has a much better look at the pitch with they're not in motion receiving that pitch and can say, nah, you were a ball off the plate, or give the correct information.
And Torres is an elite catcher and did not make the first, second, or third All-ACC team, even though she hit 375 and is, I don't know if there's a better defensive catcher in the ACC.
There were some that threw batters or threw runners out at a higher clip, but in terms of managing a staff and being a wall behind the plate, Torres is elite.
And with all due respect to Michaela Edenfield and the other catchers, but you know, Torres just does so much that doesn't necessarily show up on in the stats. And Curd is being a little ginger, walking around rather gingerly, I should say.
And when you step into a pitcher's lane, you have to make sure that that clay that's underneath the top layer of dirt is secure. And it looked as though the clay gave way, and in doing so, kind of tweaked a little something. So they're giving her a little extra time to work that out, make sure that she has sure footing as she goes into her next pitch. Well, knowing that she's a rise ball pitcher, she has to have that solid front side to dig in on and get under the ball for the spin. If she does not feel comfortable in her feet, that ball will sit flat as she's not able to get behind the spin and give it the kind of torque that it needs to move through the zone.
And now Jayla Wright is up in the bullpen. She started today, lasted an inning and 2/3. 2-2 pitch to Laird. And if you're not familiar with softball, starting pitchers can re-enter in softball, unlike baseball where you're burned. There's Jayla.
Starting players can re-enter,
Right,
so
right.
not just pitchers. Everybody that is in the starting lineup, if they are relieved of their duties, do have the opportunity to come back in and contribute.
Can re-enter once. 56 pitches Jayla threw earlier today. Laird in the air. Baker says, I got it, and she does. To end the inning, Kurd facing reliever Marissa McCann for the first time. McCann came on in the 5th inning for Krings, Lauren Krings, who started. And McCann has set down all 4 Duke batters that she has faced. Jennings had an RBI triple back in the 3-run second. Added 2 runs in the 5th to untie the game, and Cassidy Kurd has shut down Missouri in the circle.
And Jennings is typically one of those left-handed batters that loves to run through the box, but she has been called out repeatedly for being out of the box with those feet. This late in the game, it's going to be hard to be definitive on that call because of the way that the box has been wiped away. And this is the perfect time for Jennings to be able to use that slap, knowing that the white line of the inside part of the box is completely demolished. So it's going to be hard for an umpire to call her out. I like the fact that she's going to it. She is so fast, is able to exploit defenses. And before the rule change, she was extremely effective. But it came into play pretty early in her career. And with that change, it exposed her. I mean, it was in play before she got to college, but she had to try to make that change very late in her development and has been unable to be super productive in making the change.
Started as a center fielder last year as a true freshman. First team all-conference, top 10 finalist for National Freshman of the Year. Hit .462, but then in the Super Regional against Elena Vaughter in Stanford, got hit by a pitch, broke her arm, ended her season. And it took her a while to come back. Took her a while to get going, and now she's going. Right up the middle. Her 2nd hit of the day. Because we're going to have ESPN and ESPN2 going with softball tomorrow night.
I think we just need to multicast, right? Put them side by side and then just put the volume up on whichever game is going a little bit better. Head out.
Us. Here's Claire Davidson. Singled her last time up and scored. Sends it into short center, and that's quite a travel for Alex Honnold. She had to cover a lot of ground to grab it.
Well, they have shown so much respect to the power of Davidson, and because of that, with their heels back close to the warning track, they have so much ground to cover. This ball, man, that was a pretty catch. Man, so smooth coming in underneath it.
These nice white uniforms. Little grass stain down there. Terrific play by Honnold to get Davidson, who is always dangerous. And now Vega had an RBI double her last time up. Honnold will lead off for Missouri when they get to the bottom of the 7th inning. The center fielder who just made the good catch.
I'm done, Pam. I am all for a consistent zone, but when you start calling that pitch this late in the game, I would probably turn around and give you a little bit of a look if I was playing. I know that's not the right thing to do, but whoo, buddy.
Vega gets another hit. Jennings stops at 2nd. Duke trying to get some insurance runs here in the 7th.
Well, Vega's been so good at just driving the ball, not trying to lift, not trying to do too much, is going oppo very well. Last hit, that double that scored Davidson in her last hit bat, went to the left side.
So before Gold gets to hit, Larissa Anderson comes out to talk to Crenshaw, her catcher, McCann, her pitcher. Taylor Pennell, who has been the closer for this team. There's Taylor. She is warm in the bullpen.
Well, you get one trip to the circle without penalty, so that was just a conversation that she needed to have with McCann. And McCann's a freshman, so this is the first time she's been in this kind of situation. The biggest crowd she's ever played in front of at her home stadium. There's a lot of pressure on the freshman. And right now, with a runner in scoring position, she doesn't want to give any more advantage to Duke. I would anticipate seeing Pennell if anything else goes sideways in the circle.
Towel had gotten onto the field and it's been tossed back. Thought it might be a cicada. There's a lot of cicadas here in the air in Columbia.
Dive bombing the booth, for sure.
They're very big and very loud. Gold hits it to the second baseman Gallagher. They can't turn the double play but get an out. Let's go to Matt Schick.
First baseman number 29, Giselle Tapia.
All righty, Matt. So a little upset going on there. Still early, but Alabama up 2-0 on Tennessee. And as Matt told you, when this game is over, that game will switch here to ESPN2. Right now it's on News. Taking off, trying to induce a throw. And then in the rundown, they are able to get Gold, but the run scores. Second inning, and all she's done is not give up a single hit, and is on a string now where she has retired 11 straight batters. The last Tiger to reach base was Madison Walker, who reached on an error back in the third inning. So Curd facing the 2-3-4 hitters here, starting with Alex Honnold, who singled off of right and grounded out when she faced Curd. Record crowd here in Columbia, Missouri, cheering for another comeback after they were on the ropes in the regional last week when they lost the very first game to Omaha and then had to win 4 straight to advance. Just to correct myself, Walker was the second to the last Tiger to reach base. It was Langer after her who was hit by a Curd pitch, still in the third inning. That was the last Tiger to reach. That's out of play. Arnold had a home run in the regional last weekend. And has the most doubles in a season in Missouri history. They're all up in the dugout.
Just a great hold on that pitch, but when you look at the way that Honnold's been able to swing, she tattooed that ball in the game 6. They needed that one to be able to survive and advance. And the big swing by Honnold, that was her 6th home run of the year, and that leads the team.
Another one way up in the zone.
Well, and we see Cassidy Curd throw that rise ball aggressively when there's nobody on, knowing that it's not going to hurt her if it gets to the backstop. She loves to throw that pitch with a ton of rise ball spin. That's got some pretty nice spin heading into Torres. Way out of the zone, but it has added velocity on it too. You know it's in her mind, that area where she slipped, the step, that stride foot out. She has to make sure that that area is secure so that she does not leave a ball big.
Honnold gets a look at a 3-1 pitch. Taking all the way, and that was called ball 4.
That's a first free pass, first walk given up by Curd here today. And in terms of situational hitting, you gotta put the bat on the ball. At the top of the lineup, Maddie Gallagher, maybe the best one to do it in the lineup. They have left on so many runners in the postseason.
Able to just get enough runs to take out Omaha twice on Sunday. Gallagher RBI single off Jayla Wright in the first inning.
And Gallagher's come in with such a cool perspective on this Missouri squad. She came in last year, a transfer from South Carolina, was able to be a part of their first selection, of her first selection show last year, and the team has embraced her and been able to just live on the emotions that she brings in. Just a different perspective.
Into left field, Burgess for the first out. And Abby Hay coming up for the 4th time today. Dad John played baseball here. Her mom was on the golf team, and her father also. There's her mom. And her dad, not just a photographer, but a daredevil as well, is out there and takes photographs of every at bat, perched out over the left field wall. 80th pitch for Curd is a strike.
When you look at where he's at, he's down the left field line, outside actually the berm, like of the gated area of the field. And he takes those live shots of Hay. He got some amazing shots last week of her home run. And I think that's the perfect travel ball dad positioning. He's got not only a fence, but a big hedge to get in the way of any interactions during the game.
Hay down 0-2. Julia Crenshaw on deck for the Tigers. Strikeout number 8 for Curd. And the Devils now 1 out away from taking the first game in this best-of-3 Super Regional.
When we talked to Hay about the rise ball, she said, yeah, that was the hardest pitch for me to figure out how to hit when I transitioned from baseball to softball, because the ball never goes up when I'm playing with somebody on the bump.
Crenshaw pounds it, but it's well foul. Cassidy Curd came in with 2 outs in the second, has not given up a single hit. Pitched the last 4 innings of the ACC championship game against Florida State, where she also did not give up a single hit. Playable for Jennings, or is it no, the right fielder Davidson was able to grab it.
For Missouri in the
that's a pitch I've struck out on hundreds of times. So nod to Kara Daly. Girl, I got you. I've struck out on that one multiple times. It looks very hittable coming in, but man, with that tight rise spin, it just gets over the barrel and you have to head back to the dugout.
3 straight strikeouts for Cassidy Curd.
Well, the hard part about hitting off of Cassidy Curd is the fact that when the ball starts mid-thigh or belt high, you think, I need to be ready to not swing in case it goes up. But with the velocity coming out of the circle, you've got to make your decision so early. Sometimes it sits flat and you take advantage. Sometimes it has that rise ball spin and you have to sit down with the strikeout. And she does not throw the changeup very often. She will pull it out like right there every so often to let hitters know that it's in her arsenal, but it is not a pitch that she throws with a ton of accuracy. You do not have to worry about it late in a count or when, as a hitter, you're ahead.
Now the 2-2. Gold takes some extra time. Cassidy Curd still has not given